Hello and welcome to the Scaling Europe show. I'm Seb Johnson. Thank you so much for joining me. If you like what you see, please like, comment, subscribe. The more engagement, the more visibility, the better guests I can get and the better coverage I can provide of the European tech ecosystem. I would also like to say a huge thank you to my sponsors, Checkout.com, one of Europe's leading fintechs, and it is where the world checks out, and SurrealDB, the multimodal database for AI agent, which is partnered with thousands of the leading organizations, including the likes of NVIDIA and Samsung. So if you like both of those, check them out in the links below. Thank you very much. Hello and welcome back to the Scaling Europe show. I'm Seb Johnson. I'm here with Aidan. Aidan is from AIApply. Hello, how are you doing?
Very well, thank you. Big fan of the content. It's awesome to speak to you.
Thank you. It's interesting. I was speaking to Johan. I saw him at a talk once giving, he's like a master of content. He's actually inspired a lot of my content strategy, especially as I've moved from LinkedIn onto TikTok and Instagram. But I love what you guys are doing. I've been following you since that talk, which was probably 5 or 6 months ago. But why don't you just give a quick introduction to kind of who you are and what you've built?
Cool. Yeah, Johan is the go, which I must say is before we start. But I'm Aidan Cramer. I'm co-founder and CEO of a company called AIApply. AIApply is a consumer SaaS company. So we have AI tools for job seekers. So we help them go from needing a job to getting hired faster. By democratizing access to career services that were once reserved for people that could afford a career coach. But what that breaks down into, we have a suite of tools going from something that will build and tailor a resume for you to make sure it's attractive to hiring managers, to something that will find and apply to the best matching jobs across the internet for you, so that you're the first person to apply the jobs that you might not have found, to something that will help you during and after job interviews to make sure you are polished and getting feedback and improving. So yeah, it's a suite of tools to give job seekers an edge in this very challenging market.
And you've seen a lot of success. Can you touch on some like traction stats, whether that's revenue or users or just what you've seen to date?
So yeah, we're a couple of years old. We stopped sharing revenue after we started a bit of building public on X, and we were getting like 2 or 3 copycats show up a month, some literally copy pasting our landing page. So we pulled back from that, which is a real shame because I loved it. And I'm all for kind of openness and transparency, but not at the risk of damaging our reputation by people signing up to the wrong company. But yeah, we're 2 years old. We were growing insanely quickly. So we just hit 1 million users. We have seed strapped. So we raised like a very small round of funding from an SCIS fund in London called Hatch, which have been awesome, and a handful of very, very high value and supportive angels. And since then, kind of April last year, we've bootstrapped, so we're now scaling profitably, we grew like 5 or 6x this year in terms of ARR. Wow. And yeah, we're just, there's no sign of slowing down just yet. And that's off the back of an incredibly small team.
How small is the team?
So there's 7 people in total. And efficiency-wise, it's probably one of the most capital-efficient revenue per employee companies that are certainly in the space I believe now.
It's amazing. I think there's a lot to unpack there. I want to get into the efficiency piece first. I think that's so interesting. You've stayed so lean. You've grown to 1 million users. You're staying, I guess, like bootstrapped since the initial small round. Why is that? Do you think you could go further, go bigger with more money? Or do you think actually you just don't need it, so why take it?
So it's a combination too. So one, like at the very beginning when we started this company, it was about kind of optimizing for a high probability successful outcome for us as founders and for us as our team. So we didn't want to really go down the traditional VC route. We weren't trying to build like a unicorn company. And, I built a company before and I've gone through that kind of stage of pitching these unicorns. And a lot of people that were in my vintage of starting a company at a similar time, so about 10 years ago now, went through that VC roller coaster and then came out the other side with very little to show for it. So this time around, it's been about kind of optimizing for freedom, optimizing for a successful outcome, and just building something that is of value to a lot of people and it generates like real meaningful cash flow and is profitable. So we took the initial capital just to kind of give ourselves that first bit of runway, first bit of boost, helped us run some big experiments sooner. And then by not raising again, it's kind of really helped us focus on, how we build a sustainable business here. The truth is, there have been parts of that journey where it's been very, very tempting to take additional capital. It's not been a straight line up. We've had months and months of kind of flat growth. We've had a couple of down months, and it's kind of, it gets to your head and you're thinking, if we had a few extra million in the bank, maybe we could hire this person that would solve that problem. But we've been very disciplined about not doing that. And now kind of we're seeing the reward of that. So, our team is very, very good at getting to a point where things are challenging, really going deep on what the problem is. And we've now built this kind of muscle of solving problems without kind of throwing resources at it. And the company is much, much better and healthier for it than it would have been otherwise. If we'd have raised, a few million towards the start of this year, we would have almost certainly grown a lot quicker at the beginning, but we wouldn't have kind of found the unlocks and the second level of product market fit that we've now found that is helping us kind of get this new level of growth that is profitable, that is efficient. We're building a better business for it, which is something I didn't really anticipate or expect in the level that we've seen.
Yeah, I guess that capital restrictions gives you the mindset of just like, we either solve it or we die, right? There's no pot of cash to help you there. When you raised that initial kind of seed round, that early round, were you able to be transparent with investors and say, look, this is going to be the only round that we're going to raise. We're not aiming for $1 billion outcome. We think we're going to have a great outcome here, but it's not going to be a typical 50x, 100x. Yeah.
So it really helps having some aligned angels. So we raised a total of about 450K. And we had a good fund on board, and we were just transparent that like we don't know exactly where this is going to go. We think there's a very high probability that you're going to see a 10x outcome from this, and there's a smaller probability that you're going to see 100,000x outcome. We're not saying we won't build like a massive business if the opportunity presents itself, but we're optimizing for a high probability at this time. So the funds were great. They were slightly de-risked with SEIS, and the angels have just been awesome. And I think, having spoken to some of these angels, they kind of saw our attitude as a sign that this is the kind of business that could end up doing really well. And we didn't raise until we were also, generating, a few 100K in ARR. And we did that off absolutely zero resources. And we were already profitable, and we were already growing like 40% month over month with nothing. So I think they knew that, we could get a lot further with not taking on a lot more.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's probably refreshing for investors as well, right? To see an opportunity where you're growing without a lot of cash. And 90% of investing, that's a great thing. That the companies don't need the cash to grow that quickly. Where was the growth coming from in those early days?
So early days, there was a lot of short form organic content. So I was putting out a lot of content myself. So we were kind of testing product ideas, pushing stuff out on TikTok, Instagram, Reels. I would find a format that kind of worked to talk about what we were doing. Had some good viral success, tens of millions of organic views. Chart went up a little bit. That gave us some more resources to scale that out. So we would take that cash, we would hire a few influencers or pay them to repurpose those formats on their accounts, and that would expand the reach even further. And then that was our kind of primary distribution channel initially. That got us to our first 10, 20K MRR. And then we started kind of using some of that content for ads, started reinvesting in SEO. And then it was pretty soon after raising that we made our first like a growth hire. So when Johan came on board, we kind of showed him what we were doing. We were super early stage at that point. He's been kind of a rock star in that role. Again, like is not used to working with super limited resources we gave him, but has that mindset to just kind of keep endlessly digging to find gold. Has been an insane asset to the team, and has helped us go from like what it was basically nothing to now kind of hyperscale it.
Yeah, I think it's so interesting. I certainly find it in my own content that the volume of impressions that you need to generate to then translate to something more meaningful or tangible is just absolutely massive. You know, you have to be able to generate millions and millions and millions of impressions on a regular basis to try and convert those eyeballs into paying users. And so you mentioned that he was kind of your first growth hire. You've got 7 people at the moment. What does a team makeup look like?
So we just have Johan and Growth. We're off a few agencies for kind of content production, which kind of feeds into our ad libraries. We have Juana on support, who is just manning our AI-assisted support chatbot. She's incredible. And then we have 2 guys working on our AutoApply product, Roman and Martin. And we have our kind of product engineer, a guy called Ole, who's working on kind of all of our core web and making sure we push stuff forward. And then we have Peter, my CTO. So it's like predominantly engineering and then kind of growth and support.
Yeah, so interesting. I mean, that's such a small team. And, you know, you mentioned you've got 1 person support, over 1 million users you've now hit. That seems crazy. You know, are you able to touch on like that person's support role, how they're leveraging AI? Because that seems like, yeah.
It is crazy. And that has been a role that's been really, really hard not to hire for, because the house has been on fire multiple times. And we've all jumped in. I jumped in. I've been kind of answering support chat. We built kind of a custom AI support chatbot. So plugged in kind of all our docs, plugged it into Crisp, and that kind of assisted her for a bit. And that was really good. We built kind of a very decent prompt library to answer most requests. We then kind of upgraded. We're now using Intercom that have Fin AI support, which is great. That takes away a lot of requests. But when we kind of have had like inflection points and new things have broken, we kind of go through a period of like new product iteration, new growth experiment iteration, and then like when we hit something, we kind of default back a little bit to support engineering and just thinking, you know, how can we automate some of these requests? An example, you know, we offer some refund policies if people kind of meet certain conditions, if they're like particularly upset or something's gone wrong, and we realized that was taking up 20% of Fauna's time. So we prioritize building something that would like automatically refund if certain conditions are met. And so just, you know, going back into our backlog and making sure that we can automate a lot of support, like before we actually just throw more bodies at the problem, I think is part of that like muscle that we've built. And it's definitely compounded, and enabled us to have, you know, such a lean team.
And when you look at what's coming down the road, what your next hires will be, do you have a view? Is it going to be more operational growth, product and engineering?
I think it's all going to be engineering, all product and engineering.
Interesting. So you think you're going to be fine, 1 person with AI on support, 1 person on growth, and it's just going to be building and shipping?
I hope so.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's such an interesting...
That would be the dream outcome, I think.
Yeah. I mean, it's so interesting. I mean, you know, we're sort of hearing all this stuff about the explosion of AI and how it's enabling people to build leaner and grow faster. And yet simultaneously, we're seeing more and more companies raise bigger and bigger rounds. And the two don't really seem to add up, right? You kind of expect, okay, well, companies should be able to stay lean and grow faster. And it feels like you're one of the few use cases where you really have nailed that of staying lean, growing insanely quickly while using AI to get you there.
I'd like to think so. Like I definitely believe in this kind of notion that like a 10x engineer becomes a 100x engineer if they can utilize these tools effectively. But I think it's the same with like across functions, right? Like a 10x support person becomes a 100,000x support person if they know how to like update the prompts, update our support, write tickets to support engineering, and like the same with growth. Like a 10x growth person becomes a 100x growth person if they're using absolutely every tool available for kind of creative testing, for reviews, for kind of ad library management. So yeah, it's it's a very unique and exciting time to be building. And we're taking one route, and we'll find out whether it's the right one. But it doesn't come without its own set of risks.
Yeah. And how are you finding it on a personal level, compared to your previous experiences going down that venture-backed route where, maybe you had a bigger team and you had more money? What's your personal experience been like doing both?
I love it. I absolutely love it. I love the freedom that it gives us. I love the ability, just to really control kind of our destiny and our future on this, and not feel kind of tied to this unknown feeling future outcome, and feel like, every dollar in MRR that we add is actually something that will have a meaningful contribution to myself and my team. And the fact that we can give away meaningful amounts of equity to the people that we work with, versus giving that away to a passive sidelined investor, that's also something that's very important to us.
And is that part of the sell? Because, a lot of people who work in tech, and I know Johan, he's had amazing experience working with these hyper growth, huge organizations that have scaled to thousands of employees, raised hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars. So I imagine trying to pitch, a much smaller team, a much scrappier way of life is difficult, or almost challenging to people who, like a lot of us, got quite used to the easy money world of 2020, 2021. How are you able to convince these people to come into the team and to be like, we're not going to give you, the big budgets, but it's a different experience?
You have to ask him, because I think truly he must have done his own kind of mental modeling of what this opportunity looks like for him. And he's worked for some of the biggest companies in existence, like billion-dollar IPOs. And I remember when he first joined, we were talking about the kind of daily ad spend budgets that he's used to having. And we were like 1% of that. And I couldn't even imagine spending that much money. And now we're not far off it, which is also crazy. So yeah, he must have seen the growth trajectory, and he's seen what these successful companies actually look like and what the metrics look like. And that there might have been something there that he could kind of scale into. But yeah, it's also, what we're doing is fun and it's new, and we're truly building something people want. Users are raving about us. We've got an amazing engineering team, and it's just, it's fun to be kind of on that upwards growth trajectory. Much more enjoyable than, stuck in a larger company that's kind of plateauing, or maybe an earlier stage that is pre-product market fit.
Yeah, absolutely. I know. I can definitely imagine that. I went through that similar experience of, almost seeing, the burn is such a worrying thing. It's great to have huge ad spend, but when you know that every month you are just bleeding cash, it's tough.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think that's also a big thing that kind of reflects across the team and the day-to-day is we're default alive, which is a very, very different place to be in. We're not thinking about our next raise to extend our runway. Our runway is infinite, and the additional cash we generate each month, we treat that as new bets we can make. And we're just constantly collecting chips, placing new bets. The whole team's aligned with that. And that's, a fun way to think about growth. Trying to place profitable asymmetric bets versus, your manager giving you ad budget and saying, do the best you can with it. So I think that's also part of the difference, and also makes it quite fun.
And are you using all of the cash that you make, the profit that you make, just to reinvest into the business, or are you getting to the stage where you can start kind of taking cash out?
So at the moment, we're reinvesting everything. It's all kind of, trying to hit some kind of revenue milestones, and then we kind of pull the lever back a little bit, and then give ourselves a bit more of a buffer, room to place much bigger bets, potentially acquisition level bets, and think about the different type of business we can be building.
Yeah, amazing. Super exciting. I always want to talk about content more generally, right? You're such a content-led business, from the early days, scrappy doing it yourself, to hiring a growth person, to getting agencies to help. Are you seeing, or are you leveraging AI in content generation? Are you seeing that as either a threat to good organic content, or are you seeing it as a tool to help you in your own content?
So we probably used every like AI tool, AI UGC, AI content creation system. We know them all. We know them all intimately. Like we've never really had anywhere near the same level of success through using like pure AI UGC or AI creative that we have based like compared to real humans, real people actually like doing it the hard way. For things like statics, I know like we've put out a lot of variants using AI tools. But yeah, like real human content performs best for organic by a mile. And for us, even like our paid content, the real human stuff performs better. I'm not sure we've had like a top 10 winning creative that has been like purely AI generated. And I think we've tried a lot.
Interesting. So for you, human always wins.
Yes, strangely.
Yeah. I mean, I stay away from it on my own content. It's good some of the AI tools to help clip or to help, that kind of stuff can be quite helpful. But the actual generation of, I don't use it because I just feel like it's so much worse. But look, Aidan, like, thank you so much for joining me. Like, we're out of time, but I think what you're building is super exciting. I love speaking to founders who are taking this route and not the flashy, raise loads of millions, hit super high valuations. So let's stay in touch. And if you ever do want to share news or like share milestones, let me know. Like I'd love to talk about it and post about it. But yeah, thank you for joining me.
Cool. No, it's been a real pleasure, and we should have a big milestone to share in the coming months, and we'll be shouting about it.
Amazing. Well, look out for it.
Cool. Great to chat. Speak soon.
Thanks, Aidan. Bye-bye.
Bye.